Once again, we'd like to welcome everyone to Randy and Candy Yao's Extreme Desire podcast, where we meet, talk, learn, and hear from some of the legends and people in the real world of hunting, where we keep things down to earth with real people.
This week we're going to be visiting with Matt Elliot from Benchmade Knife Company. Matt's been with Benchmade for quite some time. He's an excellent outdoorsman, good person, good all-around hand, and he definitely knows his knives, so let's have a visit with Matt and learn a little bit more about him. We are here today with Matt Elliot from Benchmade at the Benchmade main office here in Clackamas.
At the headquarters. Yeah, Oregon City, Clackamas County.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
Clackamas County.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They make riverboats here too, right?
They do. Yeah, a
Very
number
nice
of
ones.
them. Yeah, but Clackamas drift boats
Yep.
is just down the street. And then
I used to have one of those, yeah.
you did. Yeah.
So,
Nice and lightweight for pulling through the shallows.
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Except when we drug it down the John Day River, we took the bottom pretty much off of it.
Well,
There wasn't enough water.
I think they say fear no rock, right?
Yeah. So it feared it. But anyway, so tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Benchmade and what you think of what Benchmade's all about.
Yeah, I can give you the full rundown of the history of Benchmade, which is actually it's a fascinating.
that.
Yeah, it's a fascinating company, and then we can get into the more boring part about
Not a
myself. But it's like not that my own story is boring, but it just sort of pales in comparison to how Benchmade got its start. So. The founder of the company, probably the place to start is with Les Diaz's and his wife Roberta, and where the company actually was started was in California. Uh-huh. And when originally founded, so basically what happened was Les, he was at the time was going to USC, he was in law school there in pre-law, and just kind of got tired. He refers to himself as being unemployable, and he got tired of spending his money on tuition and was trying to look for something else to do. And so he dropped out of school at that point, I believe, and had gone into working as a paralegal for a law office and was working in this like dingy, sweaty basement in some LA law firm. And he's obviously a big knife and gun enthusiast, and he was at a gun show one weekend, and he started talking to these knife designers, custom knife makers, and they were telling him, you can basically create your product in your garage. You can live out in the middle of nowhere if you want. Pretty much free range to do whatever you want. And I think that entrepreneurial side of things sort of sparked something in Les where he thought, that sounds great. And Les is Filipino, by his heritage is Filipino. I mean, he's American, but his Filipino heritage, and was into Filipino martial arts, and there's basically a Filipino knife, the butterfly knife, or the bally song, which is Filipino for butterfly, and that's where the butterfly in our logo comes from, calls to our heritage of the butterfly knives.
Yeah, a lot of people ask, what's the butterfly?
Yeah, I honestly didn't know that till just now.
Which is something I love. I actually really like that about the Benchmade brand. It's a very 98% of our customer base is actually male. It's kind of it's knives, it's like hardcore military stuff, but then it has this really cool sort of contrast with the feminine side and the butterfly logo, and I've always loved the contrast between those two things. And so back to the story we were telling though is he's at this kind of knife show, and he's realizing I could totally do this, and he's thinking about this Filipino sort of martial arts fighting knife, which is the butterfly knife, the bally song, but nobody made a good one. And he's looking at these custom knives and seeing the level of craft, and is thinking, I could partner with the custom knife maker to build a really high quality bally song, which is a fantastic knife design in that it gives you the benefits of a folding knife, right? Mm-hmm. Where the blade is actually protected in the handle, but is as strong as a fixed blade knife, because when it's open, it has the two handle parts that fold around, and when they're closed around each other with the blade open, it won't let the blade go in either direction, right? And so he made, I don't remember exactly how many, I always mess that number up. It's like, we'll call it 10. He made 10 of these knives with a family member of his, and they went into a local gun store, and showed it to the guy at the counter. And he said, "Hold on," and he went to the back, and then the guy came out with the owner, and the owner is like, "These are great. These are incredible. Can you bring me, multiples of hundreds more of these in a couple of weeks?" And Les says, it's funny, he tells the story. He's like, "Yeah, sure." Yeah, and then
How am I going to do that?
He walks off, and he's like, "Oh gosh, yeah. How am I ever going to do this?"
Yeah. How?
And that's like the birth of Benchmade as a brand. And from there, it's gone through. That was many years ago. That was in the 70s, and then went through. At that point, he was doing different stuff. So he was building some high quality things. He was also importing product, and through that import relationship, we ended up getting overextended. It was Balisong Inc. and then converted to Pacific Cutlery, which Pacific Cutlery Benchmades are still highly sought after. Mm-hmm. And you'll actually see on our butterfly knives, the logo that's on the Benchmade logo that's on the butterfly knife is different than our Benchmade logo. It's more like the old school sort of Balisong logo, which is kind of interesting as well. It's like all this like little kind of cookies back to our heritage throughout things. So he basically gets overextended, and the business gets overextended in making deals with import companies. Basically made an agreement with a local large retailer that we would supply X number of knives, and then when we went to the importer and said to the Asian manufacturer and said, "Hey, can you supply these knives?" They said, "We can't give you that many." And as a result, the company ended up actually folding, and through some just smart strategic banking moves with a really smart banker, they found some of the equipment, were able to buy it back, and started this in 1988 officially, started Benchmade as a new company. And at that point in time, Les just said, I never want to be in a position where I can't meet my customers' needs again, ever. Right. And that was sort of the birth of what is now Benchmade, and this ideal about building everything here domestically. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't about American manufacturing being cool. It was about customer service.
Yeah.
Right. The whole brand is based in customer service. It doesn't matter if it's about making great product, engineering product that's going to meet a customer's needs, about great programs that meet our dealers' needs, or on the back end after somebody buys, making sure that they're always going to have a product that works at the very pinnacle of its performance, because we'll service it as many times as they want over and over again.
That's what amazes me. It's like, you can use these things, and trust me, I'm very hard on my knives.
You
Matt
are?
knows.
Yeah.
And
I always get a fun box.
Yeah. Come send them back, and they rebuild them or whatever, and back to new, and sharpen them as many times as you want, free of charge, to sharpen those knives time after time and bring it back to the factory. Yeah, that's cool, because it's
cool.
No matter how good you are, sometimes it's just like the guys that do it all the time, that's what they're good at, and they bring it back where you can shave with these things. So
yeah, it's kind of like getting
the steel is amazing, Yeah.
It is, yeah. It's kind of just thinking it's like getting a knee replacement. They tell you if you're going to get a knee replacement, you should go to the doctor that always does that knee replacement over and over again. So,
yeah, correctly.
Yes, and that's true. The specialists in sharpening, whether it's in product services or on the manufacturing floor, that is what they do, and they are really, really good at it. Yeah, and it is not easy steel to work with because it's so hard. It'll hold an edge a long time, but the trade-off of that is that it's hard, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it takes longer to learn the sharpening skill as a craft than just about any other operation on the factory floor. Wow. And it's the most, I don't want, dangerous isn't the right word to use, but there's the most sort of risk involved with that particular. You have to be at the most focused, because there's the most opportunity for safety hazard, I should say there. And obviously we do a lot to make sure that that's protected, but it requires an extreme amount of focus, and that's at the point at which the knife actually becomes sharp. Mm-hmm. And there's a wheel that's spinning at a high rate of speed, and so because of how much focus it requires, the people that are working in that sort of operation center, you have to make sure you're kind of rotating them out and keeping them fresh, because it just requires, it's so intense.
Right.
Yeah, it's really cool.
One mess up is a mess up.
Yeah, that'd be a bad mess up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, could you tell us a little bit about? Different. Obviously, I'm an outdoorsman hunter, and so I think along those lines, pretty much everything. My pocket knife is like I said before, is a tool to me, which I use for screwdrivers, pry bars, cutting stuff. Stuff I shouldn't be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
and you have the construction side,
Yeah.
and the farm side,
Yeah.
and the hunting side. So for farming, what the more ranch work or the work, what do you keep in your
pocket knife. Yeah, just
which one?
Right now I have the butter or the.
Oh yeah, the 535.
The little blue guy here. What did he call that new?
That's the bug out.
Bug out.
That's
Yeah.
the name. See, I don't even know my names of this stuff.
He hasn't cleaned it either. He's sitting here cleaning it while we're doing this.
Yeah, I took some blood off of it. No.
Yeah, we were talking about like farming and hunting, and you were just cleaning tape residue off of that thing. So maybe you're not as hardcore as I thought.
No, I just got this one. The other one I put away because this one's so light. That's the reason I got it. It's not. It's just so lightweight that that's why I have it. It's easy for me in my pocket.
Oh, it's great. And the interesting thing about that knife, I think, is sometimes a misconception is people will look at a knife profile, and they'll see a larger profile, and so like on that you can see this is actually a relatively large knife. Yeah, it's probably almost 5.5, almost 6 inches long. Mm-hmm. But that's not actually what makes it feel large in your pocket. What makes it feel large is the width.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
The depth of the handle. And so you'd probably hardly notice that's even in your pocket.
No, that's why I went to this, because I had the other one with the that composite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was bigger, and bulkier.
Yeah. It's nice. I loved it. And I wore a couple of them out, but then they rebuilt them. But this one's like, that's just real easy. And it's blue. And what I like about blue and orange is I actually can find them when I drop them.
Yeah.
I do like all the real pretty ones, and they're kind of model colored and all that stuff. But when I drop them in the dirt, I never find them. In fact, I got one at a job site now that somebody's going to find one day, but I haven't found it yet.
Well, it's like Troy and Shelley, right, who you're staying with right now. I remember Troy and I were skinning it. It's actually the first buck I ever shot. We're skinning this deer with my bow, and we're skinning this deer, and he gives me this knife. It's got to be like he could tell you. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's a custom knife, though, and one that he loved, and, we're skinning this buck, and I ended up underneath it, and I'd kick some dirt over it in the process. It was a wood-handled knife, and I'm a traditionalist. I love wood-handled knives. I usually carry a wood-handled knife in my pocket.
Cool, right.
But you have to keep track of it. Because I kicked the dirt over it, and then it took me 45 minutes to find it.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to let me walk off without finding that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
We've had that happen a lot.
He's talking about Troy Corum also works at Benchmade, and we did a podcast with him. So
he does, yeah. And we were saying Troy and I were friends. I mean, I worked here for 10 years now, and Troy and I were friends before I worked here, and so that was cool. Troy's the one who kind of got me into bow hunting in the first place.
That's cool.
Yeah. But you're a pretty avid bow hunter now.
Yeah. It was mostly and I still like rifle hunting, but it was mostly rifle.
I like
before.
everything. Mm-hmm. I just, I'm certainly not a purist because I just like to hunt, and it extends my season if I'm able to change weapons.
Yes.
I'd hunt with a spear if we had spear season.
I like rifle hunting, mule deer. I like bow hunting, and there's just something about it, bull screaming in your face. It's hard to get out of your blood.
It really is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even if you don't get one, it's just that experience. It's really cool.
And then this little guy here.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about
cool
thin knives?
knife.
Yeah,
I fell in love with it.
They gave us one as a test crash dummy this year, and we used it a lot. But ours was black, and talk about losing them.
We lost it. Yeah.
She shot a bull in Idaho, late season, December.
In the snow, yeah.
In the snow.
Well, it was kind of snow.
They did not get very much snow in Idaho this year.
That really
wasn't
snow.
Some.
It looked like snow we're in.
That was
actually what they
fog.
call that horse frost. It was that much frost.
Yeah.
It really was clear above us. It's just we were in the
couldn't
clouds.
see 200 feet, and we thought we were never going to find a track or a bull, but we did.
That black one, we lost it, and I couldn't find it. Got all done. I'm shaking the cape out. It was in the mane.
His hair, because it was so cold, his hair was just super long.
And stuck back together,
It fell out, well, there's that dang knife.
I was in deep trouble.
I like the orange.
Somebody else is going to find themselves a special treat. Actually, my friend, my best friend, my hunting partner, he lives in East Idaho. Kind of, I don't know, probably not too far from where you were. Mm-hmm. He lives in Arco, Idaho. But he was hiking on a trail in Montana and found a mini griptilian just laying on the trail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man.
And this one, you guys call the altitude.
That is the altitude.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that's the
For
altitude.
those of you that aren't watching, you can actually. It's the altitude. You have to check them out. They're just very thin. They're a cool
tough.
little knife. It's another knife to have in your
tough.
pack. You certainly don't know it's there.
We used it on how many animals this year?
A bunch.
17.
So
17.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the blade steel?
it's great.
It was
It's
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what I love about your guys' knives. All of them. I mean, they just, once you, like you said, you have them to a great edge, they stay with a great edge for quite some time, you know. But if you can just keep up with it a little bit, it's fairly easy to keep sharp. And you're talking about sharpening is kind of an art, and I've done it so much. I just know when it works.
Mm-hmm.
But if I really think about it, like if I have to do it slow, I don't do so good. I do it fast, I do good.
Yeah.
But it's really weird how it works. But
Yeah.
and those little pull-through things, you got those little
Yeah, those were
sharpeners.
good. I like those.
Those are great just to keep it
Yeah.
to a certain, and then you can refine it.
Yeah, those work really well for a lot of steels, and what I need to get you is these work sharps we've been using. You could even pull a ceramic rod out of a halogen bulb or something to get a piece of ceramic. But this steel's really interesting, and it's different than others. When I was talking about how there's like a contrast between, or trade-off between hard steel and difficulty of resharpening, this is S90V. The rest of the hunting knives are S30V, which is tremendous. I love S30V.
Yeah,
it's a great balance between edge retention, corrosion resistance, and durability. Sometimes when you get a lot of edge retention, it can get brittle too, just because it's so hard, and it doesn't really give you great durability. But S30V is a good balance. S90V is probably our hardest blade steel. It's extremely difficult to work with. It takes a long time to manufacture just one of these, which is like, there's not much to it. It's a $230 knife, and you're like, well, man, there's just not much on this thing. It's the steel, and it's the manufacturing to actually create it that really puts a lot of the cost. And then there's cool features like these little carbon fiber micro scales and some other little nice touches. But the interesting thing about S90V is that, that's the best way to explain it. If you were looking down the knife this way, and
back forward,
right, and you're looking at like at a microscopic level, right? So you're like looking at the edge up on, and like this, when a knife starts to get dull, the edge rolls over, right? And so what you're doing when you sharpen it is you're just standing the edge back up.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. Yeah, you guys are. I just thought that gets dull is dull, but actually it's just rolling the edge instead of actually getting dull.
Well, eventually though, it will break off.
Right.
And once it rolls over and breaks off, well, now you actually have to like really run it through that pull through, or run it over a diamond honed or something to get it back to, like, you have to reshape the edge at that point to reform it.
That's where you got to do it right. Yeah.
S90V, I was worried about S90V because it's like, well, man, when this thing does go dull, if somebody hasn't taken care of it, they're going to be in trouble getting an edge back on it. Well, the incredible thing about S90V and this particular knife and the bevel angles and everything is that it never breaks off. So it actually, in some senses, is easier to sharpen than S30V and some of the others, because you never have to deal with reforming it. So you can just use a ceramic hone every once in a while. And what we've done we have a test lab here where we kind of test all these steels, and what we found is that this S90V steel, when you get it to that point, from all the way initial sharpness 100% down to needing to resharpen, if you compared that to a replaceable blade knife, that's about 5 to 8 replaceable blades that you would go through to get through that process. And it's still cutting at that point.
Right.
And then it's 3 passes per side on ceramic, and it's 95% original sharpness again.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got their thoughts on the replaceable blades, and, nothing against them. They're incredible, sharp little
It's a great tool.
things, and I keep them and stuff for doing intricate stuff, or if I'm caping something, or I'm doing, there's times for it, and it's great.
Yeah.
But out hunting, I've just found that I'm just kind of a freak about leaving garbage in the woods. And I'm a freak about, so I break a blade, or I get a dull little blade, now I've got to do something with it, and I've done this from experience. I'll put it in my pack,
and then it lands itself.
First thing you know, I forget about it, and I dig through the pack, and I've ruptured my hand, or I have to leave it in the woods. And then I just worry about that. And I have actually found them in the woods, laying here and there. It's like, it just bothers me. Now this thing is still, it's dull, but it still can injure somebody. So I don't know. I'm just going to stick with my fixed blade for out there, keep my replaceable ones for places that I can
Yeah.
you know.
But this
use it around.
works really good
That's
to,
great.
to
Yeah, it
take
is
that
great.
place because it is so small
so
and you can get in
lightweight.
all the little
It's
cracks
just
and
lightweight,
crevices. And,
you know. And
yeah.
Yeah, I like. There's definitely a great application for a replaceable blade knife.
Oh,
Talk
you
about
bet.
caping.
It
You
certainly
talk
is.
about which you have to be
So
careful.
intricate.
Yeah, like a lot of times for caping, I like just use a flathead screwdriver. And
yeah,
almost
well, yeah,
pry
when
the
you're
stuff,
getting around,
right, or
yeah,
like the
certainly.
pedicles
Just
and all
certain
that.
areas, it's just nice.
Or
Fleshing things out.
Yeah.
Rolling knives, there's nose lips and stuff if you're
trapping.
Yeah.
You know, if you're trapping
skinning.
and skinning out small game, totally
Bobcat
great.
and all that stuff.
The one thing I always try to caution people on is just just from a pure safety standpoint. And I think we talked about this at the ladies' hunting camp too. It's like I love the idea of the replaceable blade knife. It's great for somebody that can't sharpen to just be able to snap another blade on there. But please, anybody that's going to go out in the woods, don't just have that.
No.
Exactly.
Make sure that you have a hard
Yeah.
use
Yes.
knife.
They do.
They would tell. So any survival expert would tell you, for the most part, it's like there's on the list of items that you should have with you if you end up in a bad situation. It's like shelter and water. Food you can actually, I think you can go a long time without food, like 3 weeks before you
think
die,
you're going
which
to
is
die.
incredible.
Yeah, I'm going to starve to death. No, you're not.
Yeah, you're going to have a headache.
You got
Yeah.
almost a month. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it's like shelter and water, but how do you create shelter? So it's really
gotta have a
water and a
knife.
hard-use knife
Yep.
so that you can actually create the shelter, so you can create the fire, so you can do all of
Yes.
that. And a replaceable blade knife is just not going to cut it. So it's a great tool. Like I never want to trash any other knives.
Oh,
like,
heck no.
Totally take a replaceable blade knife with you, but carry a hard-use knife
Yes.
too.
Yeah, you need to have
Yes.
and if you do it a lot, I mean, you'll come to find that's just what you got to have. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just there's nothing to replace it. When you need it, you need it. You know,
Yeah.
something with some backbone on it. But
How was it? So one of the unique things about this knife is these micro scales up here. And so instead of like what you'd get in a traditional skeletonized knife, where it'd just all be like basically what we call the tang area, it'd just be the thickness of the tang
All
the
the
whole
way
way
through.
down. We put these micro scales on here to give you a little more
grip.
control and grip. So 17 animals with this one knife, how did it perform for you from a comfort standpoint?
Well, it worked great. The only place I find is where it rocks right here on your finger where you rock, and it after a while, you're starting to get a sore spot there.
Okay.
Especially elk,
Yeah.
Elk and stuff where you're putting some pressure on, and maybe I just need to sharpen my knife more. But I was always in a hurry. But it's it works good to have something there.
Other than that, I thought it was
otherwise-
perfect. But I had the same problem. I'd come out with actually a dent there from you're trying to hurry.
Yeah, well, you can wrap paracord around this. You can do different things,
Well, I don't know, and I don't know if anybody's ever tried to, for those people who don't know, like the speed at which you process game in the field.
That's very true.
Yes, I would imagine you'd get a hurt finger trying to keep up with Randy for sure. So this particular knife, I think my favorite thing about it is the contribution that it makes to public land access also. So it's not just so a portion of the proceeds from the altitude, the one that comes with the camo sheath, is given to the backcountry hunters and anglers to help fight for our right to hunt, and more importantly, our children's rights to be able to spend time in the field.
Benchmade's been huge supporting that.
Yeah.
And that's super huge to us.
I'm pretty sure everybody's heard, obviously heard of Benchmade and this and that, but and so what is your title here at Benchmade now? You're
Director of Marketing.
Director of Marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's they're a great company. It's like we went down and watched down below where they build the knives.
Yes, that was so cool.
And it's just cool to me, the camaraderie and stuff with the Director of Marketing goes down there and everybody, hey man, how's it going? And, hey, let's go fishing this weekend or whatever. I mean,
you just don't see
good friends.
that.
Yeah. In so many big companies, you don't see that, and that's what we've noticed with so many different people we work with. That's cool. I love that everybody kind of a family type unit.
This was the first tour I took of, the what do you even call it, the manufacturing, and I've worked in mills and stuff, and there's such a huge gap between the office people and the people that work on the floor. And so when we took this tour, when I walked out, I told Randy, oh my gosh, that's so cool. They've really got something. And the pride, they stand there and sharpen those knives all day, and I'd be, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, but they're so proud of what they've done. Somehow you guys have instilled that, and that's really cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, the culture comes all the way from the top, and so you're talking about I imagine some of the other businesses that you're associated with that you have this experience with, Loophole, Weatherby, these are family-owned businesses.
Same
right?
type of deal.
It's the same
That's what
type.
we're
that's
seeing.
what we love. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
That's
it's
what,
really cool.
Yeah.
The big corporations, when they get too big, they lose a lot of that. And
That's I wouldn't say that it's not a struggle too.
Oh,
as
it's gotta
you
be.
start to scale and grow, I mean, they're definitely, when I started here 10 years ago, we were not even half the size we are now, and that requires capacity and people. And we're more than double as many people as we had, and twice as busy and everything else. And so there are times when anymore, like I walk out on the factory floor, and there are people that I don't know, and they've worked here for 3 years, and it's kind of the same. And I mean, it's the natural state of things, but it doesn't mean that you don't always have sort of your core relationships and the opportunity to make new ones every day. So a lot of it is just about talking to each other when you have the opportunity to do so. Yeah.
That's pretty neat, though.
Yeah. So that knife there is very different from this knife, and if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to just kind of like give an explanation of the two. You've used both, so this
is well, I have this in my pack and this in my pack.
Is yours orange or pink?
It's orange.
Okay.
I have a pink one.
Yeah, I wouldn't care if it's pink. I'm not real concerned about.
Oh, well, I want a pink one, but
I don't.
Candy took them all. Gave them all away.
That I did.
Right, to the ladies' camp. And we'll go back real quick off the subject, but Benchmade has been a sponsor and helped us with the ladies' camp for the last 5 years that we've been doing it, and they've been great. And
Huge
the ladies
sponsors.
Absolutely, they go nuts over them, which everybody does, but
They fight over them, literally.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I didn't get Troy. Troy and Madeline went last year, but he said it was a big deal, and I think Troy actually took some extra steps to get a few extra.
Troy
out.
was great.
It
At
was
the end,
great.
he goes, "What he wanted to do more, and he just wanted to help him." So he gave at that Utah camp because there was a small number of people that didn't get them. That he made sure that everybody got one. It was pretty cool.
And they really appreciated it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a couple of immediate benefits, especially at the ladies hunting camp. And when we first started talking, we were talking about the TV show that you had for some time and the ladies hunting camp, and it's like, and the TV show was great, but the ladies hunting camp is just something totally special.
It's really taken off.
Yeah.
It's hard it's hard to. We don't even know what to do with it. As we've said, we're still trying to figure it out, but it is. It touches so many lives in such a great way.
Yeah.
It's hard to not continue. It's like, what do you do?
The story the 2 years ago, I was at the NSSF, the National Shooting Sports Foundation. They have a research breakfast at SHOT Show every year. It's just really interesting. And I was listening to a presenter talk, and they were talking about the sort of danger in the story that is never really told. Because we hear all the time, right? Oh, the female end of the hunting industry, it's the fastest growing, which is true. But what they don't tell you is it also has one of the highest attrition rates before a year, because it's like, we're doing all this work to encourage women to come and participate in the sport, and then not giving them the support that they need.
Right. They don't have that.
Right. They're hunting with maybe a boyfriend or something, and then they break up, and now they don't have a partner. The ladies' hunting camp, it gives them a community. It gives women a community of women to help, and men, but to help actually create a real base of community that they can fuel their passion for the outdoors permanently. Not just like, come, so we can sell you some product. Great. We want, we're really pumped on women joining the market so we can sell them a bunch of gear. That's not what it's about. It's about the continuation of that relationship. And then what those parents, the women and the men, instill in their children, and the sustainment of our entire livelihood for a long time.
Because they do need a support group. They really do. And the instructors and all the people involved, the sponsors, even social media, I'm looking to go hunting. I'm bummed out. I want to go for a hike on next Saturday. And you'll see the answers, and it pulls them all together, and it keeps them going. Whereas if that wasn't there, they'd probably just go to the mall.
Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping with the, like the ladies hunting camp page and stuff. Eventually the ladies can all communicate through that. And, hey, man, does anybody want to go turkey hunting or elk hunting or whatever? And eventually have a huge following that they can all come together and find somebody to go and hang out, even if they don't know each other. Figure it out when they get there. It's kind of fun.
And they're doing that. I've got girls in Colorado that have signed up for the camp, and she doesn't want to fly it by herself, so she just, how brave is that? She just put it out there. Hey, anybody going to the Utah camp? Can I hitch a ride? They've got it all worked out.
That's great.
So,
That's cool.
Yeah, and then to watch them when they harvest something is really cool.
It is
I bet.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So
I have not had the opportunity to be with too many people when they've sort of, had the
it's
opportunity
the
to harvest
neatest-
something for their first time.
neatest thing
I've
ever.
done it lots, and
It
it's
is.
just like it's just cool. It's it's a thrill.
That's what all of my, so most of my, almost all the hunting I do is with a few select people, and like a lot of us, and it's just a matter of sort of getting outside of that and branching out more.
Yeah.
So it's like we would just watch each other, do it over and over again, but not the newness of it. And a lot of those friends of mine are also now starting to have kids that are of the age where they
That's
can
right.
take them
Hunt.
out,
Yeah.
That's
and
when
they
it
all
happens.
tell me.
Yeah.
And everybody says exactly the same thing. I would 100 times over,
you bet.
way more excited watching my son or daughter kill their first bull or buck or whatever for the first time than myself.
Yeah, that's one of the podcasts we're going to be doing as soon as we get home. Is our little granddaughter Gracie.
Yeah.
She like 9 or 10,
She's 9.
10, whatever she is now. But she harvested a nice 4-point this year, and I was with her and got her lined up. And is in the backcountry in the wilderness, and she's tough little turkey. And her mom and dad was there too, but they stayed back. They let me take her in and get her all set up. And she made a 300-yard shot and killed this buck. Just everything was just so perfect. But we're going to have her tell her story and how. So it'll be fun. It's cool.
Yeah.
So I think you've seen the pictures of her holding the little
I've
blonde.
seen the
Yeah,
pictures.
we got lots of
Yeah.
Benchmade pictures
Yeah,
of her.
it's
She's
like
so cute.
The smile is wider than the rack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just cool. But
That's awesome.
But anyway, go back to your knife I butted in.
Oh, no. That's what we're here for, right? It's like, so the altitude is ultralight. Is like, it's all about peak performance. All these hunting knives, like when we first started to create the hunting series, we were doing a bunch of research, both field and lab research and surveys to figure out kind of like where is the market for like really high-end hunting knives, because every company was making hunting knives, but nobody was making them at the high level. And you see other gear companies sort of leading the way. The backpack, people are paying. I mean, I remember when $200 was a lot for a backpack,
Right.
and now I've got backpacks that cost $650, no
Yeah.
problem.
Right.
I've got jackets that cost $800. I mean, like just dumb,
insane,
dumb amounts of money. But it's like it really makes a difference. It makes such a difference. It's already hard enough. Backcountry hunting is already hard enough.
That's right.
And you might as well take any advantage you can out of it, so you don't have to worry about your hurting feet or your wet pants or your knife that's not sharp when you're in the middle of processing an elk and packing it out, because you're going to crush yourself doing it anyways. So just make it as easy as possible. So we do all this research and we find, like there's this great opportunity for a real high-end product in the market. We create Benchmade Hunt from that. Eventually, now we've led to the Altitude, which is like the absolute pinnacle of anything we've ever created. But in that research, one of the things we did is we pulled out like, well, what is the center bullseye of what most people would like? What do they tell us? Okay, well, I want a 4-inch drop point blade, rubberized handle that's orange, some sort of a more Kydex type sheath, and that's where the steep country came from. So, and this knife is actually, it's one of the best in the whole series, and like little secret, it's also the least expensive of any of the knives in the whole series. And so you can see it's got this, like a 3 3/4 4-inch blade. It's got the rubberized Sanaprine handle, and it has some really cool features too, where like a lot of handles would have a molded handle. Inside of the tang of the knife back here in the handle, it would turn into almost like a little strip, and then they would mold around that. Well, this is actually a full tang knife that we've over molded around, and you can actually see through the spine here, right?
Rib sticking out.
Yeah, the rib sticking out. It really is a tremendous overall profile and design. Yeah.
It's a great knife. I have that knife. I have that other one that when I'm boning animals out.
Yeah.
That I carry too, just for that. But now I've come to find I use this a lot too for that. But this, that Hunt's steep country knife is just absolutely amazing knife. And
that's my
like
hands down favorite.
You just don't need a whole lot. I mean,
that's all you really need.
It's true.
If you had to pick one knife in the whole world, you could only fit one thing in your pack, this would be it, in my opinion.
It's always in my pack.
Yeah.
Because it will do anything.
Yeah, if people ask that all the time, if it was only going to be one knife, what knife would it be? And I'm the same. For me, if I had to have one knife,
Yeah.
that would be the one.
Now, I like 3, but if I had to have one.
Well, we like, dozens of them in your house, whatever it is.
I don't want no more than 3 in my
Everybody's
pack. It gets heavy.
not in
but
the pack. Yeah.
So do you carry a knife in your pocket and a couple in your pack, or are you all knives in the pack?
No, I have these 2 in the back of my pack, and then I have my pocket knife in the zipper right in the front. So it's right
Just
there to
something
get
you
to.
can use,
I can grab right now.
when you're just fiddling with something, you need to cut something or whatever.
You're not going to take your pack off
Yeah.
to do something,
Yeah, I do the same thing. I always keep something in my pocket. It's something so, I need to cut a piece of cord or string or something just handy. Then I'm just walking around or on camp or whatever. But
Yeah, and typically it's like if I like to have a utility, because you might need to cut a shooting lane or whatever. It's nice to have that knife for the utility,
right there.
and it's good to have a clean knife in your pack
Yes.
that you use for the meat. And if all else fails, and you have some failure, God forbid, on one of your other knives that's in your pack, which you shouldn't, especially not with a fixed blade, because there's just no mechanisms to break.
right.
But then at least you
or
have
you'll
a
lose
backup.
them. I mean, just
You don't ever
it's
want
nice
that to
have.
happen.
That's
but
why I always have more than one because
yeah.
you just never know.
Yeah. Losing it is that's the only thing that we don't
one
warranty.
match to build a
Yeah,
fire.
And that's more common than anything. Is like really is just lost. It's like
Right.
my friend Zach finding that Griptilian on the trail. It's just funny. We made a Facebook post about that and tried to find the owner of that mini
Really?
Griptilian. Said we'll give it back to whoever it is. We had some people that were close, but I don't think it was theirs. Who had actually, I think honestly, had lost a knife in Montana somewhere, but it wasn't that one. It wasn't that one.
Yeah.
We just said, look, if you can tell us the exact spot where this knife was, we will send it back to you.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it would have been really cool if we could have found the owner, but we didn't.
But back, it's been years ago, and I'm pretty sure I even asked Matt this question. I said, why don't you guys make one in orange? And they're like, well, because then if you you wouldn't buy as many.
That's like the camo, right? It's a camo knife. Now, luckily, this one has a bunch of orange popping out the back end, but with a camo knife, it's like a lot of hunters, they only buy one because like they look really cool, and then you set it down somewhere and you lose it, and they never buy another one.
Everything
again.
I got's a tool.
Yeah.
I use it. I love them, but I like my tools to be good, but I use them hard. My gun, my bow, whatever. I don't. It's not getting babied; it's getting used, and that's what it's all about. But
Are you obviously you're shooting a Weatherby rifle? Yeah.
Rifles. Yeah.
Mark 5.
Yeah, I got a Mark 5 Weather Mark.
Yeah. Do you like it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that thing.
Yeah.
I got a 6.5 300. I just got that thing. That is just a fun gun. It's
pretty
just a
cool.
fun
Yeah.
gun.
So talking about that, I got the 6.5 Creedmoor, the Camilla, the ladies' gun, in the wood stock, and I was so proud of it. It's so pretty, and he says, you're going to scratch it up, you're going to ruin it. I said, I've not fallen on a gun yet in my life. I'm sure it'll be fine. And so this year, coming out with our grandson's buck, I was the camera person, and I had my rifle over my shoulder, and there's this shale rock thing that I was going to run up because there was these beautiful rocks. I said, I'm going to get up ahead of you guys and film you. So I'm talking backwards as I'm running, and I rolled down the whole thing, completely scratched the holes the very first day out with my gun.
That's what I told her. See, that's why you get a composite stock and don't worry about it.
Oh, I was sick, but it's life.
Yeah, I have a 300 Weatherby backcountry edition, which is the Vanguard, but it has the Cerakote and all that on it, which is
nice.
Yeah, that's my like hunting partner, if you will. But I have a 270 that's an old Remington like BDL, like the good ones, back before they ruined them.
Right.
And that thing is a tack driver.
Yeah.
But it was a wood stock, and it was the same. I'd pack it down the trail, deer hunting, and a lot of times the clip of your knife in your pocket will just sit there and rub on it. So as soon as I could, I went to that Weatherby with the synthetic stock. The one thing I wish I would have done is put a brake on it, because that 300 Weatherby hits like a Mack truck. It's just a really snappy round. Like a 7 mag is a snappy round, but even more so. It's the only rifle I've ever like actually set down and just like walked off the bench, because I put 2.5 boxes through it. I was trying to get creative, and I was trying to shoot these 210 grain Nosler long range, which I just didn't like. There's something about the twist. When I went to the 180 trophy grains, it was like under an inch immediately. But so I kept trying to shoot it, thinking my scope was off, and it was just like after 2.5 boxes, I just couldn't take it anymore.
You were pretty sore.
Yeah, I was sore.
Yeah.
And so the 6.5 300 is a flat shooter. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's quite a gun.
Yeah, I think, what is it, 2.5 inches at 100 high, and it's 7 inches low at 400.
So you basically point and click
Yeah,
up to 400.
You get it, yeah. Basically, that's what it is. It's a smoker. It's just fun. It's just a fun gun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, I think the last one we have here is a folding knife. This is this mini Crooked River. This is one of those knives that Randy would lose because it's got a wood handle on it.
Well, it's got a
But
little
it's
piece
pretty.
Of orange. Little piece of orange.
It is pretty. Yeah, it does have a little piece of orange. And this is our most, the large version of this is our most popular seller, but I think it's really not necessarily for hunting. The reason it's our biggest seller isn't for hunting. It's for the reason that it, I think, crosses over into different areas because it's just overall really...
For anything and everybody, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really attractive knife. It reminds you of the knives that your granddad used to carry.
It does, right.
Mm-hmm. It's got that really traditional clip point blade, which actually makes for great caping because you can get a lot of precision up in the tip. But then it has some modern features on it, like the orange rings and the orange G10 back spacers and the cool aluminum bolster. It's called the Mini Crooked River. And this one, I think, will no doubt end up outselling the large version.
Yeah, see, I like the smaller ones. I always do. I just never been into the great big folders.
Yeah.
No, that's a very pretty knife.
Yeah,
So that's actually the 3 exact knives that I have right there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so this is the pocket knife. And then obviously my 2 hunting knives that I put in the back of the pack.
Yeah,
So that's funny you pulled those 3 out.
Yeah. It wasn't intentional. It's completely coincidental.
No, yours is pink.
Mine is pink.
Yes.
I'm special.
I need to get a pink knife.
The ladies. Yeah, they made a run of them last year for the ladies' camp.
The girls ate it
Hot
up. They
pink.
loved it.
Yeah.
We got to get creative this year and do something like that.
Yes.
And when is the ladies hunting camps? There's are there 2 or 3 this
There's
year?
2 set. We have
Okay.
one in Utah set for June 22nd through the 24th, and the Oregon one is set for July 27th through the 29th. But we have, as of right now, 200 ladies sitting on a waiting list.
200.
So we're probably in the next 2 weeks going to open that back up and have another Oregon camp.
You're gonna do 2.
Yeah, we
That's
got. I mean,
awesome.
and he keeps saying, "Well, I guess that just too bad they didn't sign up soon enough." And I said, "I'm the one that
I
has to
didn't say that.
answer them.
You're going to have 200 ladies call me.
You handle it."
How many ladies per camp?
We love it.
We have 50.
50. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have.
So there's
ended up being
4
more than
camps
50.
worth of women on the waiting
Yeah,
list.
that's correct.
Wow.
And what do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not. We end up shut the 50 off at the people that sign up, but then the sponsors, like you guys, you bring somebody, so we end up with more like 60.
And then your
or
volunteers and
65,
instructors.
Then you got 100.
There's 100 people.
100,
Plus.
125 people at each camp.
Right.
Yeah.
To make sure that the experience
And
for the 50
and
that are there
husbands,
is
Exactly.
top notch.
And a lot of the husbands come too and just hang out, and they pay just a little bit for
For
their
the food.
and this and that. And
Yeah.
But they're not allowed to take classes with the ladies
Right.
because that's what we're trying to do is stop that. That's
Yeah.
where a lot of
The
you know,
dependency. Yeah.
as well as it's like Candy does not like me teaching her anything. These
Well,
other women-
Randy
these
wouldn't
other
even let
women-
me teach him anything.
The
so.
other women, they tell her, "Your husband is the most patient man in the whole world," and I'm like, "Yeah, see."
Yeah, that's not how it works. Though.
No, it sure isn't.
No, not how it works at all.
Yeah.
And so what? Yeah, I guess what do you just keep having more and more camps eventually, or
Yeah, I don't know. I think what
We're just
we
trying to figure out
can't
how
do
to
it this
financially
year,
do it,
but
yeah, you know how it is.
maybe next year because these ladies love it so much they want to come back every year. So I think what we need to do next year is we open up a second camp maybe in both places, and it's an advanced camp because they're taking the same class from the same instructors, and if you have beginners you have to repeat probably 75% of that stuff.
right?
So now it's old to them. So I think we need to step it up and have more of an advance, teach them some more skills. That's where we're headed, I guess. I don't really seriously know yet.
We
We'll
don't
get
know.
through this year and
We're
find
just
out.
winging it.
Yeah.
That's the way we do everything. But I suppose we better wrap this up.
All
I think
right.
you guys got.
I think
somebody
he's supposed to go
scheduled.
back to work.
That's
Yeah.
true. Also, although I'd be happy just sitting here all day and talking to
Yeah,
you
go
instead.
talk
Yeah.
hunting or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, we appreciate your time, Matt.
Yeah.
We will do it again.
Okay.
for sure.
Sounds good. Thanks,
Thanks
Randy.
a lot.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Candy.
Hope you enjoyed this week's podcast, and remember, it's not always perfect, but it is always real with Extreme Desire. Please always remember we cannot continue without social media these days. Once again, we ask that you like us, Randy and Candy Yao's Extreme Desire, on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please check out our website, extremedesiretv.com. See you next week, same place, same time.